Okay, Madam Mayor, we are live streaming and recording and ready to go whenever you are.
All right. Thank you all so much. Thank you, everybody, for being here. It is now 7:00 p.m. on Wednesday, November 12th, 2025, and I now call to order the 2171st regular meeting of the City of College Place City Council. Clerk Garcia, will you please take roll call?
Yes, ma'am. Councilmember Lopez,
Present.
Councilmember Cleveland,
Present.
Councilmember Espinoza,
Present.
Councilmember Peterson,
Present.
Councilmember Williams,
Present.
Councilmember Sherman, present, and Councilmember Boyle requested an excused absence. We do have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. Will you all please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? Right, it's now time for public comment. Clerk Garcia, did anyone submit a written comment in advance or request to speak via telephone or virtually?
No, ma'am.
Okay. If anyone in person would like to speak, please raise your hand. Okay. You can step on up to the podiums. Press the button for the microphone till the light turns green. And you'll have 5 minutes to speak on any subject that is under the control of the council, but is not on today's agenda. Please state your name and address for the record, and then you have 5 minutes.
My name is Donald Olgeen. Address is 1124 West Pine Street, not quite here in College Place. I'm here to talk about the application that myself and Visit Walla Walla is applying for a scenic bikeways route through Walla Walla, College Place, and the surrounding Walla Walla Valley. The program was started in 2021. This is the inaugural launch of it. We have through November 30th to submit an application. It is ran through the Washington State Parks. They are looking for routes that show scenic value, recreational value, historic and cultural value, uniqueness, and they're not looking to create any routes. They want to utilize existing infrastructure that we currently have. The Washington State Parks Trail Association is opting to donate signs for the first 5 routes. They're going to look at all the routes. I'm lucky enough to be on the task force. I'll do some volunteering. I've been in the Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee for 2 terms out in Walla Walla. So I got recruited to sit on the task force, and we are looking to take all the applications in December, narrow them down to 15. There'll be a years-long process where they look at the routes, people come write it. They'll grade it on a number system, and then they'll narrow it down to the 5. And they're going to choose 5 routes throughout the entire state of Washington, and they're going to designate them as scenic bikeways. We feel that this is a unique opportunity for our area. I've teamed up with Visit Walla Walla to be head of a proponent group. We have several letters of support. You get more points if you have more support. Anybody can nominate a route, but you get more points in the end if you have community backing. I've emailed a few people, and I sit with several committees with other people on the council. They starstruck all of a sudden. So the letters of support is just basically saying we support what's going on. We have the existing infrastructure. We want to be a part of this. They're looking for no monetary value, no money, no building of routes. They want to use what we have with the city of Walla Walla and city of College Place, with every street upgrade, every construction project, there's always cycling infrastructure that is added to that. I've brought for every council member some copies of a template that Guy at Visit Walla Walla and I came up with, and copies of a couple letters. We have a letter through Valley Transit. They want to know about accessibility. So the route is 39 miles long, starts at Pioneer Park, goes down Rose Street, comes down College Avenue, out Whitman to Last Chance Road, around to the Mission, back to Last Chance Road, out towards Frog Hollow, and then you hit the farmlands and everything coming back through Mill Creek Trail. We have backing from Army Corps of Engineers, Downtown Walla Walla Association, the Wine Alliance, Parks and Rec, and I would love to see a recommendation letter through this College Place City Council. I know I only have 5 minutes, but if I'm invited back, I can have a better presentation and we can talk more about it, since this is probably the first time a lot of you have heard about it. So I'm not looking for anything this evening. I just wanted to say, this is what we're doing. There's a time limit, but not a time limit for the letters. The letters can come at a different point than the application process. So if I may, I'd like to walk these up to the table and then, or leave them here.
Yeah, you could leave them with the Clerk Garcia, and she will make sure that we get them.
That's all I had to talk about, the scenic bikeways, and we're gonna name it the Walla Walla Valley Sweet Onion Route. And
Nice.
the mayor and several other council members for Walla Walla said that when we get designated one of these 5 routes, they want to have a big presentation and they want to be one of the first ones to write it. So I'm hopeful that I can see you guys out there too.
Very nice. Thank you so very much. Yeah, please. Thank you. Go ahead.
So just to add on a little bit, I sit with Don on a couple of other things. So I've heard the presentation. He's got great maps. It's super cool. So they really do just need the letter of support. So we could have Don come back and give his whole presentation, or we could discuss and decide that we just want to, I know, right? So, yeah.
Is it better to have one letter with everybody's signature, or would you prefer each of us do a letter?
It would be your decision. The city council drafted one letter. They took the draft and they just kind of added to it on how that represents like their comprehensive plans and so forth. And then they listed all the members, and then the mayor Scrivener signed it.
Okay, got it. Thank you. Any others? All right, we'll get that taken care of. Thank you. All right, is there anyone else in chambers who would like to speak during the public comment period time regarding an item that is not on today's agenda? All right, thank you. We're going to move on then to the consent agenda, which consists of tonight's agenda, November 12th, 2025.
Someone's bringing me page 2.
Oh, do you have extra copies?
Yes.
Approving the council regular meeting minutes from October 28th, 2025, and excusing the absence of Councilmember Boyle. Is there any item any member of the council would like to have removed from the consent agenda at this time? And if not, do we have a motion?
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
We have a motion is to approve the consent agenda. Is there a second?
Second, Councilmember Williams.
We have a first and a second to approve the consent agenda as is. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? It's unanimous. The ayes have it and the motion is passed. Next, we're going to move on to presentations, of which we have 2 on the agenda tonight. First, it is my honor and pleasure to deliver the annual Veterans Day proclamation. I know we're a day late, but I'd still like to do the proclamation. From the City of College Place, Office of the Mayor, whereas it has been our, let me start that over. Whereas it has long been our custom to commemorate November 11th, the anniversary of the ending of World War I, by paying tribute to heroes of the tragic struggle and by rededicating ourselves to the cause of peace. And whereas America has been involved in numerous other military conflicts, which have added countless veterans to the honor rolls of this nation. And whereas the service members who have served and are currently serving in the armed forces of the United States of America have made the greatest contribution towards preservation of this nation and her people. And whereas the services performed by these millions of brave Americans have demonstrated the deepest sense of service and love of a country. And whereas the nation and the free world are eternally grateful for the contributions of all American veterans to advancing the cause of an honorable world peace. Now therefore be it resolved, I, Norma L. Hernandez, Mayor of the City of College Place, Washington, do hereby proclaim November 11th, 2025 as Veterans Day. Given under my hand and seal as Mayor of the City of College Place, Washington on this 12th day of November, 2025. Did we have anybody who was here to receive the proclamation? Okay, just making sure. But Mary Elizabeth, actually, as.
Nobody else. Is there not one other veteran in this room? Okay.
All right,
Well, I didn't anticipate.
right. So as our veteran, it will, you please accept the proclamation on behalf of a grateful city. And thank you for your service in the Navy.
Madam Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
I would like to also note, in addition to Mary Elizabeth, our council chambers are named after another veteran, Marge Nyhagen, who served in the Marines in World War II.
Yes, she was one of the early women worked in the Marines early on, and she actually did serve in World War II. So we are grateful to Marge Nyhagen, who also served 27 years here as a city council member. And you're right, council chambers are named after her. All right, next we are joined by Ms. Gail C. and Mr. Corey Davis from College Place Public Schools, who would like to inform the council and community of their fundraising initiative for College Place youth seeking to obtain higher education. Welcome.
Well, thank you, Vic. Thanks very much. I'm Gail C.
I'm Corey Davis.
Yeah. We're here to present what we started last spring and hopefully can continue on. We're just trying to get the word out to everyone. So are we ready? Yep. All right. So it's a scholarship fund that we just created. We hadn't had one before. As you know, the school is not very old, the high school. So this was an opportunity to finally put forth a scholarship fund. It's run through Blue Mountain Community Foundation. Okay, do I move them forward?
I'm
or-
so sorry. Whatever this is called, the drive is having a hard time, so I'm trying to fix it.
Okay, no problem. So just as some background, I've lived in College Place area since 1980 and worked at Sager, at basketball, all kinds of things. Corey is a current employee of the Waldwell School District. No, that's not it, but anyway,
Let me try one more time. It just said that it says it can repair it. I'm hoping that it worked.
okay, I hope so too. Well, I don't know if they can see it.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. It's not pulling up.
All right, well, we started last December 2024. I have my PowerPoint here. And a person came to the Booster Club, which Corey is a member of, and asked if there was some money she would like to present. And the Booster Club decided, no, we don't really want to get into taking money from people. So my husband and I were talking, Dan C., and actually he was on the city council in the early 80s, said, well, we can do it. So let's get something started. So during that time, we met with Superintendent Fry, set up a meeting with him. I met with the Blue Mountain Community Foundation and researched other schools that are going through and doing this with the Blue Mountain Community Foundation. And that was December. January, Sager graduate Jose Villalobos worked and created a donor flyer for us. Met with Mia Ferraro, who graduated in 2025. She created the original logo that we used. Contacted Minnie Sager, because Sager was pretty active in their alumni. Former staff, Luke C., who was our son, created the website for us. In February of 25, we met again with Blue Mountain Community Foundation, set up an agreement, created an email account, and met with individuals to read the agreement for input. We operated a table at some basketball events at the high school. In March, we we accepted our first applications to be reviewed. In May, those 2 applicants were awarded the first of our scholarships. In September of 25 and October, our committee met. We set a goal, and we showed it here, and we're going to put it out in the lobby. We're hoping for 100 people to donate $100 before December. That'll get us up to the 10,000. We created posters, banners to promote it. And that's it in a nutshell. So we're now caught up. It's now November, and Corey and I and our committee around us are working on the next steps. So we just wanted to get it out there so the community knows, not just the high school people, which is what's happening right now.
And right now, we're a committee of 2-ish. So if there's anybody, if anybody sees a need or has people that you could put us in touch with, we greatly appreciate that as well.
Yeah.
So tell us again, I'm sorry. Go ahead, and then I'll go.
Well, I have a comment and a question.
Sure.
So my comment is I really appreciate you doing this. My son was one of the first class at College Place High School, and it saved his life.
Yeah.
So, sorry. And secondly, how do we get a hold of you and donate?
I left it behind. Yeah,
I-
flyer and everything on it.
There is a QR code in our
Awesome.
packet that I just scanned, and it takes you to the Blue Mountain Community Foundation's donation
Donation
website.
page.
Pretty easy.
Yeah. We hope so.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah.
So, and both of my sons went through Sager and Davis, so we're very familiar with the school system.
So tell us again, you're looking for how many donations by the end of this year? Is it what you
Well,
said?
we're hoping 100 at 100. That was our
That's kind of just a catchy tune.
Yeah, absolutely. And where are you at right now?
48.
48. All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So we need 52 more.
Yeah, there you go. That's,
right.
Yeah, that's it.
All right, well, we'll get the word out. If you'd like, you could also maybe send a blurb to City Clerk Garcia, and she can put it maybe get it in our next newsletter.
Sure. Thanks.
Letting people know that you're trying to raise funds for this, and maybe we can just put the QR code in our newsletter and see if we can help get something going in December.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
absolutely. Yeah, just go ahead and send it to her, and she'll get that put into our newsletter for you.
Will do. Thank you.
Thank
Happy
you.
birthday, Eric.
We wanted them to put that out in the lobby somewhere visible and.
Oh, that's for here. Okay, yes,
For it.
yes, absolutely.
It's new. Oh, I would ask.
Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
No, we appreciate your work and good luck on that. Thank you. All right. There are 2 public hearings on the agenda. So first, so we're on to public
Before we get
hearings.
to that, I had a quick question.
Yes,
Is
sir.
this something we could share on our Facebook or other social media pages?
Yeah, I don't know if they have something that we could share, or we could just create our own. But maybe we can,
If you post on the city page.
yeah.
Yeah,
Maybe
Oh.
we can email, see if they have something set up.
yeah. And I will, and I'll also, create something for the newsletter and put that on social media as well.
Thank you. Yeah, I think we can get 52 more people to go. All right. All right. So on to public hearings. Mr. Carlton's going to present on the 2026 property tax levy.
Thank you, Mayor. Also included in this will present the revenues status for the 2026 budget. If you can bring that one up first. So we've presented this once before, I believe at a workshop. This is just an update and so everybody knows and is part of the public hearing process. So next slide. Again, as we've discussed in the presentations of budget, that the city is facing some not say difficult times, but we are seeing our revenue base is not increasing at the same level as our inflationary costs. So we are seeing some reduction in fund balance. And within this budget and the revenue budget and the total budget, you'll see that we are having some increase or requesting some increases in taxes to help us facilitate those increasing costs. Some of the concerns we're facing, I won't go through all of them, but you know, we are restricted to a 1% increase in our property tax each year, although we do have a 3% carryover from not charging property tax increases for the last 3 years. Sales tax, one of our main sources of revenue for current expense is sales tax, and we don't really have control over that. We're at the mercy of the economy. We do get grant revenues, but not a lot for projects in the current expense. Utility tax is driven by charges for wastewater. Currently, we're at a 10% raise for water and wastewater, and we are currently not charging utility tax and stormwater. And permitting review is probably the most difficult for us to predict because it's driven by property development, and you know that is out of our control. The utility funds, those include water, wastewater, stormwater, and ambulance. Revenues generated from utility rates charged to customers. And those rates are typically driven from a utility rate model that's done every 3 years, of which needs to be done in 2026. And we also have projects are funded by grants or a reserve of funds. Next slide. So our major revenue sources for 2026, the assumptions we're making, interest rates, we're expecting those to decline from 2025 levels. The recessionary concerns, you know, are being addressed in the media. Commercial and residential projects, we're expecting them to move forward in 2026, and some of that development revenue is included in the revenue budget. We have a cumulative of 3% carryover in property taxes, and within the revenue sources here, we're not including the interfund transfers. Next slide. So here's the main components of our revenue for the city. Kind of tough to see. It is broken down by fund on the left-hand side, with the 001 being our current expense fund. In the property taxes, we will be recommending a 2% increase in property tax for 2026. That will generate an additional $65,000 in revenue for the city, and we'll get into more detail on the property taxes in the next presentation. Sales tax, we are anticipating a slight increase over this year. And for the taxes, we are currently at, oh, sorry, we are recommending adding a stormwater utility tax for 2026. That will generate $90,000 of income for the current expense. Moving down further, we do have some increases in our non-business and licensing and permit section from building permits or building projects that are expected to move forward in 2026. I'll just hit the main items on here. Down into the REIT fund, we do have income expected next year of $400,000. That will most likely be used to cover costs related to Lions Park. We have our new transportation benefit district will be in the second year of that. That is forecasted to generate about $250,000. That was the 0.01% you all approved last year for the sales tax increase to provide money for our streets. Down into the water fund, you can see we're anticipating in total a $394,000 increase in revenue. We are going to be recommending a no increase in the utility rates for the water, but we are requesting an increase in the utility tax by 3% to take it to a total of 13%, which is still, it seems quite high, but we're still under the 15.5% or so that Walla Walla is going to be charging their residents next year. Under the wastewater funds, you can see we're anticipating an additional $457,000 in revenue next year. Like water, we are recommending no increase in the utility rates for the wastewater and recommending a utility rate increase of 3% to 13%. In the stormwater, you can see we have a $94,000 increase in revenue. That's directly associated to a 3% increase in the rates for stormwater. We are seeing the stormwater reserves got hit pretty hard the last couple of years due to projects. So we are recommending that increase to rebuild those reserves. An ambulance utility, we are recommending a 3% increase in their utility charge to generate an additional $117,000 in revenue. And that's where we stand with the current revenue budget. Questions?
All right, let's go through council members. Councilmember Lopez,
No questions at this time.
Councilmember Cleveland,
Thanks for all your work on this and continuing to look to balance things out. I was struggling to understand like the 1%, rate that we can have. And from my reading, my understanding is essentially that there are various entities within the taxable district, schools, county, the city. There's also funds that get sent to the state. And essentially each entity's budgets are kind of combined into a total, which is then calculated out a rate from that compared to the property tax valuation within that district. And then the rate is determined from that. Is that correct?
Yeah, the rate is just a division of the assessed value divided by the revenue stream.
Okay, yeah.
So it's not
So
too
there's multiple
complicated, but
entities
you're
that
right.
ultimately-
Each entity can increase their revenues by 1% a year for their portion of the property tax.
Okay, yeah. So my
And we're at
understanding
about 2 cents of the total. If it was $1, we're about 2 cents of that dollar is the amount of revenue we get from the property tax. So we get to increase our 2% by 1% a year. So the next year we'd get 2.1%.
Okay, thank you.
Hopefully you'll see it more when you do that. We'll do the property tax levy presentation next. It's okay.
Councilmember Espinosa,
Yeah, when it comes to the property tax, you're proposing a 2% increase in 2026, correct?
Yes.
Did we model a 1% increase, and if that would be feasible rather than the 2%?
Yeah, I did in the first presentation. What the 2% does is it catches us up a little bit because we're already at a 3% carryover. So if we get so far behind, eventually you'll have this huge potential increase that as the assessed value goes up, it'll get more expensive for all the citizens. So we thought 2% was a reasonable amount, and it provides a little bit more revenue for current expense, which is needed.
And with the new housing projects that are coming, are they scheduled to begin in 2026 to help us have a wider base of revenue for property taxes for our city?
Yeah, that's the hope. But that's not built into the model with the county. I'm not sure how they do their estimates of growth, but you'll see that number when we do the property tax levy presentation next.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Hopefully that'll maybe shed a bit more light on it.
Councilmember Peterson.
Yeah, this might be a question maybe more for John or Robert or stormwater. When we first started down the road of preparing for stormwater and putting the fees in, there was a lot of concern that the state or the EPA was going to be testing, what was it, creek flows before they got into College Place, and then testing them as they exit College Place. And there was a lot of concern to adhere to, you know, the laws and regulations and what could happen there. Is that intensity still there from would it be EPA and the state? Or is there a possibility to back off on, I know we've purchased equipment, we've done some capital projects, we've hired people. What are your thoughts on that as far as the intensity or the interest of the state or the EPA?
State Department of Ecology kind of oversees that. And there's a push to eliminate outfalls to creeks or provide pre-treatment. And we have projects in the works to add treatment. We will continue to do so. Ecology has been really good about providing funding for that. And we'll continue to chip away at that as we can. It would be a fairly monumental effort to go through and address them all at once. I want to say we have in the range of 80 outfalls, give or take, in town. And so, yeah, there's still a push from the state, but I don't think we have any real concerns about any pending issues.
So they're not backing off. And I've heard that this is possibly a larger unfunded mandate that perhaps we've seen in our lifetimes at some point in the state, statewide, not just our city. But so the intensity, the inspection, the concern is still there.
We're bound by the Eastern Washington Stormwater Manual and have a permit through Department of Ecology. And that gets revisited. I wasn't expecting to answer this tonight. Every couple of years, I honestly don't recall the frequency, but is it 5? Yeah. And so they could put terms in that permit that would require stricter, tighten things up on us. And then we would in turn have to tighten things up on residents and businesses in town.
They're not backing off. Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Councilmember Williams.
Pretty sure all my questions are on the property tax, so I'll just wait.
Councilmember Sherman.
No questions, thank you.
Okay, on to the next portion of this presentation is the property tax levy.
We doing both hearings
I had them
once?
under one item.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that okay?
It'd be preferred to have the hearing after this item specifically and then move to property tax, but I don't think it's a massive deal breaker, but just for clarity's sake, I think it would be better to have the hearing now for this particular item. By the way, there's not a.
Historically, we've done it at the same time. But that's true.
Well,
all right.
Can I ask a
Whatever.
question?
Sure.
So my understanding is these two presentations are revenue and we're having a hearing on that. And
Yeah.
then we have the budget presentation, which
Yeah.
is a separate thing, and we're
Yeah.
having a hearing on that.
Yeah.
So that's why this one and the property tax
Are together.
are together.
Okay, so it's another.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I wasn't tracking with that, but that's okay. As long as you guys are comfortable with it,
So
Yeah,
it's
this
all
is what we've
revenue
got.
is one.
Oh,
and
yeah,
then-
this is all revenue.
as long as you have a public hearing and all of them, you're good.
Yeah. All right, I'll continue. Next slide. Our key assumptions, this year's property tax levy. As I spoke earlier, the city has not taken their 1% yearly increase for the last 3 years. The city collects approximately, I think that 2.4 cents was last year's number, and now it's down to 2 cents. Per every dollar collected by Walla Walla County comes to College Place. You know, it's one of the few sources of revenue for current expense, which funds city hall, police, fire, parks, and streets. Not entirely streets and parks, but, you know, without grants and stuff, it's pretty much what it covers. The assessed value is directly is not directly correlated with the property tax revenue. The assessed value can fluctuate up and down, but our tax revenue is fixed by the amount of revenue we received in the prior year. So if we received $1 million in tax, property tax revenue last year, next year, if we decide we can increase that by 1%, so that would give you $1.1 million in property tax revenue, regardless of the direction of the assessed value. Your assessed value could go down $100 million and you could get the same tax revenue, but everybody's rate per thousand would change significantly. But our revenue generation would not change that much. Likewise, if the rate went way up, then we don't get that extra dollar value from the increase in assessed value. We only get the increase in the revenue we got in the prior year. The assessed value estimated for Walla Walla County assessors by the end of October, we got that this year. And they determine what the new construction dollar value is, and we'll see that on the next few pages. And we are recommending a 2% increase in 2026, leaving a 2% carryover to future years. Next slide, please. Here's the movement of the assessed value since 2011, and you can see by the graph that it went up steadily, quite significantly after COVID in 21, 22, and you can see we're kind of leveling off, but we are going up by approximately $53 million in assessed value estimated by the county for next year. That's a 4.6% increase. And you can see it's been as high as 20.7 in 2022. That's when everybody's house prices went way up in value. Next slide. This is the calculation the county does on new construction, and you can see for 2026, it's not labeled on that page, but it's the last value in the graph, and they're estimating it at being $10.9 million of increased assessed value due to new construction next year. So this is the next slide shows what the assessed valuation is for 2026. You can see our regular valuation at 1.2 billion with 9, 10, almost 11 million in new construction for a total assessed value of $1.224 billion. Prior years was 1.17 billion. So an increased valuation of almost $53 million, which is a 4.51% increase. Next slide. The new construction at 10.9 million, which was an increase of just over $500,000 from 2025. Next slide. And this graph kind of shows you how the assessed value relates to our percentage change in the revenue. And you can see by the purple line how the assessed value goes up and down, but yet our percentage change in tax revenue stays pretty level and has actually gone down on a percentage change that last few years because we haven't taken the 1% increase. Next slide. So here are some calculations showing what the impact on the average home price in College Place would have by an increase in the property tax. And you can see the center, or it's kind of center right column that's highlighted is the 2%, which is the recommended number for 2026. But you can see the 1% increases in there, a 2%, a 3%, and a 4%. So 4% is the maximum we could take this year using our 3% carryover and a 1% for next year. And you can see at the bottom, the value of $403,000 average home price in College Place. The 2025 levy would have cost $707.86 for our 2% portion, or not 2 cent, or yeah, I guess it is 2% of the total property tax. That's the amount that we would get. And then you can see the 2026 levy at 0%. You can see the cost would actually go down next year for our portion for someone owning an average price home. That's because the increased assessed value does impact if you take a 0%. And you can see, if you remember that graph behind, you can see it was declining. That's what happened. The assessed value goes up and we don't get any additional revenue. The actual cost per thousand goes down. So at 1%, it would be $710, or close to $711 in 2026. At 2%, it's an additional $8.50 over this year for 716. And then you can see the 3 and 4%. So not a substantial increase, but it provides about $60,000 in additional revenue if we go with the 2% for current expense next year. The last slide, and this is the one that shows us, you know, where your property taxes go in funding all the entities, schools, the College Place, the county, port, other cities. Those other cities, of course, include Walla Walla, Preston. I'm not sure who else is in the county. Waitsburg, Prescott, all those other little ones are included in that, you know, 11 cents. So you can see we're at a total of 1.98 cents for each dollar of property taxes that are paid by residents of College Place comes to the city.
Our little sliver looks like the security mark on a dollar bill.
That's funny. So that is it. Open for questions.
Oh, gosh. Okay, Councilmember Lopez.
Yeah, very well thought out. Thank you for that explanation. I learned a lot. I'm curious from this level of increase, kind of looking at, are there service reductions that would happen if we don't approve the increase, or is it just kind of general budget stuff?
You're talking from a cost perspective?
Yeah, I guess I'm just having a hard time looking at just revenue and not understanding what the expenses.
We went with there's no staff increases next year. We've held a line on any staff increases. Current replacements, yes. But we are required to pay union agreements, whatever their rate increase is, and we'll get into that when we do the budget explanation. And we are trying to hold line on most costs where we can.
But I could tell you that if we don't do the 2%, we won't have a balanced budget.
Okay. Thank you.
Councilmember Cleveland.
No questions. Thank you.
Councilmember Espinosa.
Yeah, I appreciate the breakdown because in the tough economic times where we live, I think people look at rising costs across the board, inflation. When we talk about home ownership is more expensive, that's because insurance is going up, property taxes are going up to materials, labor, and all those things. So I appreciate the breakdown, and I know that you're working hard at balancing things out. So this just shows the transparency that goes behind all of that. So appreciate the effort that goes into it.
Thank you. Councilmember Peterson.
Hey, Mr. Carlton, in the past, and I probably am remembering this incorrectly, but it seemed like, and this just could be what would it be? Not net present value, but some sort of calculation there that when we've talked about 1% in the past, has it been $15,000 that we forgo?
It's about, yeah.
And so
it's going up a little bit as assessed value goes up.
So as time goes on, the assessed values have gone up, but I see the dilution of that also that you showed on a couple slides back. But so this has grown into something, because when we discussed it the other day, I was thinking we're going to have headlines tax increases for $30,000 or something like that. But this is much more significant than that as this has grown over the years, correct?
It's pretty similar on a 1% increase. You know, it's gone up slightly over the years, and you can see by our revenue stream on that. If you go back to that, I think it's a couple slides. That one? No, you had it. One more. That one. You can see the way the revenue growth has gone by the orange line.
Right. But I guess what I'm saying is the 1% was 15 and 2% now is 65. So.
Yeah.
And I'm not arguing your numbers. I'm just saying it's the value at the increasing taxation level or amounts that's driving that up, obviously.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is why if we did the 4% that we could do, it would be
120,
it would be,
130.
yeah, it would be significant for the.
So if we don't do this, would this just bring fund balance down by 65?
Yes.
And we're at a comfort level. Yeah. And that's the point.
That's the
Lack
point
of
why we're
comfort
having
level.
the lack of current expense, fund balance.
Okay.
And we'll get into that when we do talk about the budget in more detail.
Councilmember Williams.
You got it now?
I don't think so. So
I fixed the schedule if you noticed that.
I did. I appreciate that. So one more time. If our revenue can only go up by 1%, but the assessed value has gone up by 5%, it seems like even if we raise 2%, that the amount of what someone is paying that comes to us is going to be less, that we're going to get less per household. Because so if my house is worth $100 and I'm paying you 2 pennies of every property tax value, my property tax goes up 100 to 105. And so my property tax goes up by 5%, but you can only raise the total revenue by 2%. How does that? It seems like we're getting less per household. They're paying more.
Remember, every entity within that group can increase by 1%, whatever percentage they have.
Right, our part per household.
But I think where I was getting confused before is we think of the percent of the assessed value. It's not the percentage of the assessed value, it's the percentage of the previous year's revenue.
Right, the amount we collected the prior year.
Right, so.
We're recalculating the rate every year, so you can ignore last year's rate. And we're think in terms of budgets. Like we have, say, a budget of $1 million, and the rate is recalculated from that compared to what the property values are. So the property values go up and the rate changes and the rate essentially goes down.
Right.
And our revenue would stay the same. So we'd be increasing the revenue while while the property values go up and the rate would actually go down. But they'd ultimately be paying a little bit more.
Yeah, they're paying more because the assessed value goes up. But since our revenue, say the property tax, the assessed value's doubled, we still would only get 1% more. So we would be getting a significantly lower percentage of the property tax.
Yeah, you will get a little bit more based on new construction coming in at the higher assessed value. You will get a little bit more.
Right.
I was gonna say, we're just getting here.
It seems to me that our revenue per household is not keeping up with inflation because the assessed values are going up.
100%.
Right, yeah.
So,
but if we were paying based on assessed value, you can see by that chart, you could see in 2022 how much your property tax would have gone up.
yeah, and I mean, I understand sort of why we do this because otherwise our assessed value is very volatile. I do think they picked the 0 year at a not great place, but whatever. So, okay. But one way or another, we're not like taking much of the money. The other question that I don't understand is on the dollar. So we get 2% of the property tax that people in College Place pay. Why are people in College Place paying the other cities?
They're not. That was taken from a county perspective.
Okay,
That's showing what the county collects and what portion we get from the entire county.
okay, so
Because it's paid to the county.
It's paid to the county, and
right,
then they split it up to us.
but so this is how the whole pot of county money is, it's not how College Place's property taxes are divided up.
Right.
So our portion of
Ours
that
go
would
right
be,
into current expense. There's no divvy up.
right, but I'm saying people who pay property tax in College Place, a little bit more than 2% will go to College Place because we're not paying those other cities. Because this is
No,
total county.
I'm sorry. That is the total amount that the last page is, that's $1 of your property taxes paid. And then that's divvied up. So everybody pays that total amount. Sorry.
Right, so out of the $1 that you pay for property tax to the county.
11 cents of it goes to other cities.
No,
No, that whole amount,
the whole amount.
Well, yeah, they
98.2%. 98.2% of the revenue collected goes to other entities that you pay.
Okay, I'm gonna have to look at this closely because I don't know. Yes, I understand the EMS levy and the schools and the state and all of that. I just don't
Yeah, so
understand the other cities part.
your property tax is charged by the county.
Correct.
And we get a portion of that at the city. That amount you pay is paid to the county based on that whole $1 bill. We only get 2 cents of that. So if you pay $10,000 in property taxes next year, we get 200.
Right.
Prescott are also giving money back.
Exactly. Good.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, so everybody in the county pays into that bucket right there. And then it's divvied up.
Okay. Okay, so that was my question.
Yeah, so the money you're paying is funding the schools.
So the property
port,
tax is the
county.
same everywhere, just regardless of what school district or whatever you're
Yeah,
in. Okay, that's not how I understood it. So thank you.
Good question.
yeah, it was a good question.
A different property tax, if you were in this school district, they have a levy, and if you're in that school district, it doesn't have a levy, you pay the property tax.
No.
All right, Councilmember Sherman. Oh, sorry.
No, I just.
No, I just really appreciate the breaking down the dollars
Mhm.
for us to show that a 2% increase is $8.50 for $400,000. So thank you. That's very helpful.
Yep, I want to second that because 2% increase. Again, most people think it's 2% of their assessed value that,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah, no.
Right, so that's how people calculate it instead of, so showing that 2% on an average home of $403,000 is an $8.50 increase for the entire year.
Yeah,
So that 2026 rate decision chart is very helpful. So thank you for that, because otherwise 2% sounds scary because
Mhm.
again, we're thinking of that. So thank you for putting that together for us and for anybody who's watching and observing. Councilmember Peterson?
Is there a way, I think I ask this each time, Brian, is there any way we can get a communication out to yeah, I try to explain that, but it's not, you look at your property taxes and you're paying 4,000 a year and it's gonna go up 2%. The fact it's gonna go up much less, and I don't know how we put that in a communication somehow, or that says you can get in the weeds real quick there, but I worry about that. The headlines are College Place raises
property tax 2%.
Yeah.
And everybody takes their house and
Yeah.
divides it, figures out what 2% is and says, oh, my property tax is going up $20,000.
I don't know if there's a 2 sentence thing or
That could be,
something.
I could put something in the
Yeah, yeah. Anyway,
newsletter.
yeah.
Yeah, I think that would be helpful, putting something in the newsletter. I was gonna also mention that I'll say a little something in my mayor's message, but I
Oh,
think having it there would be quite helpful.
I think it would be really helpful if the county would send out that dollar bill thing with the property tax bills. I think we should ask them.
I know the city of Walla Walla has copied that.
Bill?
Oh, yeah, maybe they don't want you to know.
Yeah, I think that is more likely than not.
If we ask?
Okay, so where are we at with this? Are we
The public.
going on to the budget?
No, public hearing.
We're going on to the public hearing. Okay, I just wanted to make sure, because you know how I get with these things. Okay, so there's no further questions from council. At this time, I will open the public hearing. Clerk Garcia, did any, I will, the public meeting at 7:56 PM. And Clerk Garcia, did anyone submit a comment in advance?
No, ma'am.
Okay. If anyone in council chambers or in virtual attendance would like to speak, please raise your hand now. If you are connected by phone, *9 will raise your hand. All right, seeing none. Are there any additional discussions from council? All right, so is there a motion to close the hearing?
So moved.
Councilmember
Cleveland.
Cleveland made a motion to
Second.
close, and there's a second from
Councilmember
Councilmember Williams to close the hearing. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor of closing the public hearing, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Right, the ayes have it, and the hearing is closed at 7:57 PM. All right, next, Mr. Carlton will present on the 2026 preliminary budget.
Thank you, Mayor. This was presented couple weeks ago, maybe it was a month ago now. It's gone so fast. But we'll go through what the current position of the budget is. I don't anticipate many changes after this unless you all don't agree with the direction it is. So this is the second presentation, and for the public hearing, we'll go through where we sit. Next slide, please. So this is our key assumptions, pretty much the same as last time. As we've discussed and with the forecast, our current expense fund has seen a decline in its reserve balance, $556,000 in we're anticipating this year, and $642,000 in 2024, which as a percentage of our total fund balance, it's a pretty low percentage, but because current expense funds so many different things that it's not hard to lose $500,000 a year. But given that we only are required to have about 1.6 million, that only leaves you 3 years of reserves if things don't go well. So it's kind of a fickle amount, and you know, we are sticking to, we do have a reserve requirement, and it's 17% of revenues in the budget for a given year is the amount we're required to keep in reserve. You know, when you get into this kind of situation, you don't, you thought you had a lot of money, but man, $500,000 goes fast. So based on the 2025 forecast, current expense fund will be below reserve requirements. That's why we are recommending using our emergency reserve fund to bring current expense back up to its the proper level. And that's something I'll present to council. I'm not quite sure when. The reality is I don't know exactly where the current expense ending balance is going to be at the end of 25. I forecast it, but until we hit the end of the year, reconcile all the funds and determine where we're at, I don't know exactly where we're going to be at. So it might be something that I've put it into the forecast for 2025 to move this fund, so we may need to approve it before the end of the year. But, I'll get a little more information as we get through the next few weeks. But currently, I have moved that in the forecast. So our opening fund balance for 2026 and current expense includes the reserve money. So when we see that number, I'm talking about how bad it is, but it does put us back into compliance. Current expense revenues needed through increased utility taxes from 10 to 13%. That will generate an additional $165,000. We are recommending, as we just discussed, a 2% increase in property taxes. That will generate an additional $66,000 in revenue in 2026. And also, we're not just trying to hit people with more taxes. We are trying to control costs to kind of have a balanced approach to this. You can't just increase all revenues and then keep spending more. So we're trying to do a mixture of both, so it's a balanced approach, but we do need that tax revenue. We are saying no new positions in 2026, but replacements will be allowed. Currently, we have one opening in the police department.
Can I just add, so the no new positions, so council know there were eight.
Eight requested.
At 8 requested of new positions that have been, that will not be happening. In order to ensure that we have this budget and not having to, and we're managing our cost.
For a new person, how many total FTEs or staff do we have?
65, I think. It's going to be in a slide later on. I'm looking over at Sean there.
We're all looking over there. She's like, don't look at me.
I've got it here. It's in a later. Yeah, 68.
I presume the open position is budgeted. And,
Yes.
and until it's filled, we'll just be accumulating a little bit of extra funds that we're not paying out.
Yeah, it's budgeted.
Okay.
All right, next slide. Oh, you're ahead of me. So this is where we currently stand with the budget, anticipating a $20 million opening fund balance. Revenues is 75 million, expenditures just under 84 million, with an ending fund balance of just under $12 million. That's a drawdown of $8.4 million, but that is an expected drawdown. If you recall, we put a bond out for the TIF projects in 2024. That money is sitting there waiting to go on those projects. Those projects include the Majani Road project, the parking lot across the street, the east-west road, to the new subdivision, and that's a drawdown. And there's been a drawdown of $2.1 million for water project spending, associated Reservoir 4 and the well number 8-9 development. And then we have a small drawdown in the stormwater and wastewater funds totaling $420,000. And that again is those drawdowns in the operating area, and you'll see that in a later slide, is part of that association of, our revenues are not going up at the same speed as the costs are escalating. So we are seeing a decline in ending fund balance in a lot of areas. So we'll see that later on in the fund summary.
And Brian, the associated accumulated funds, those are designated funds. We can't just move those funds to another budget item. Is that correct? These are committed, not just committed, but they're.
Oh, for the water projects?
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
the utilities are like their own little business.
So we can't.
They
move them up.
generate revenue, and they generate their revenue on the rates charged to the consumer, or to the citizens. But that money has to stay within the fund. Any money that goes outside that fund is, would have to be done as a loan and would have to be approved by council. And that is all, it is an option for current expense to improve it, is to loan money from the utilities. But that was sort of the last resort if things really turn south, that might be something, because the utilities are pretty healthy. That's why we're recommending a 0 increase in rate next year. The utility tax, yes, we're recommending an increase because that money flows to current expense. If that was too fast for you, just let me know. Very difficult to read. I know, I'm sorry, but we have a lot of funds, about 36 funds. And this is a summary. I'll just go through the subtotals, just talking briefly about each one. You can see current expense, the first grouping. You can see the opening fund balance up in current expense, the first line at just under 1.5 million. That amount is close to our reserve requirement. I'm hopefully it's going to be a bit higher than that by the end of the year, but I won't know for sure until we get there. We are showing an ending fund balance of $1.9 million. As I've talked before, our bond company, S&P 500, they are requesting that we maintain a $2 million ending fund balance in current expense in order to maintain our AAA bond rating. If a reduction in our bond rating could affect our outstanding bonds, and those could be refinanced at higher interest rates. So we are showing an improved fund balance next year of $369,000, which gets us pretty close to our $2 million goal. Yeah, definitely helps, and that increased revenue is really helps that out. I'll go down into our, if you go down to the middle of the page to the total capital reserve funds, you can see we have a drawdown of $5.7 million, but that is all related to the tax increment financing fund, which is funding all those projects we talked about. We may not spend that entire money next year, but that money stays within that fund. The streets, you can see we have limited funding for the streets. We did implement the transportation benefit district last year, which is generating about $350,000 in revenue for the streets, and that really helps out the projects there. You can see we are having an ending fund balance of $345,000, which is increased from 2025 by $157,000. The next section is the water funds. You can see their fund balance is quite healthy. Later on, I'll bring up what the reserve requirements are and where these funds are mixed in with the reserve requirements. But you can see there is a drawdown on the water funds by $2.8 million, but sort of expected, as you know, we have a lot of major projects going, and we do have the city share of money going into those projects. It's not all grants or loans. The next section is the total wastewater funds, and yeah, they have a slight drawdown next year of $278,000, again associated to capital projects, and our portion still very healthy at $5.3 million. Again, that's why we're recommending no increase in the utility rate for wastewater next year. The stormwater funds, they're showing $141,000 reduction in fund balance, and that is even including a 3% increase in the utility rates. So a lot of capital projects there, and not always grant funded, so we have our own skin in the game. The ambulance fund is showing a slight increase in ending fund balance next year, and that also includes a 3% increase in their rate. And then a couple of the equipment rental fund and the flexible benefit plan fund to round it out. So overall, we're looking at a reduction of $8.4 million in fund balance, but anticipated in my opinion. Next slide. So this is the slide I showed the last time. It hasn't changed much. This is where we're forecasting for the current expense for next year. And you can kind of see why we get into the situation where we had a $500,000 drawdown in ending fund balance in current expense. We had some projects that didn't move forward as we expected, so we didn't generate the permitting fees and whatnot. That was $550,000 variance. Government shared revenues were down less than they predicted by 50. Development fees were down. We had some developer bonds that were going to be paid to the city that we didn't receive, and the grants were down 1.8 million. The deceiving part on the grants is those are offset by savings and capital, which is the next line in number 2. So we didn't get the grant revenue, but yet we didn't spend the expenditures, and that difference would be the portion of the city's spending that would have taken place. And interfund transfers were positive by $500,000. So technically, we saved 1.8 million in costs, but our revenues were down 2.6 million. So that's the impact on the drawdown. Here's our contingency numbers that we're required to meet based on your approval of the financial policies. Current expense is at 17% of budgeted revenues, which is $1.5 million, but we are anticipating close to 1.9 million ending reserve. So we are positive on our reserve requirement. But as I discussed with the revenue, that really only gives us a window of about 2 to 3 years of it not going well to use up those funds. The current expense reserve fund, of course, as I explained, I would draw that down based on your approval. And that has a variance because we would zero out that fund for the time being and hopefully be able to build that back up in future years. The other one that's another one that's negative is our facilities maintenance reserve fund, which is we have a target of 300,000. So more or less that's what we want to reach, but just based on the current finances, we can't get there. And then you can see we've met all of our other reserve requirements for all our other funds. Next slide. I won't go over, I included this just for presentation. This is the estimated revenues we talked about in the revenue presentation. Next slide. So here is our utility rate calculation for next year, and I've highlighted the center column. That is what we are recommending, is a 3% increase. You can see it's 3% because that's the increase in the utility tax rate only for water, wastewater. We are including a 13% increase in the stormwater utility tax increase and 13% utility tax implementation for stormwater and a 3% rate increase. Although you can see that the rate increase is only about just over $1 or $1.06 for the average single family residence for College Place, for what looks like a 16% increase, but is really only increases their monthly rate by just over $1. But it does generate, some good revenue for current expense. And then ambulance, you can see that a 3% rate increase, and they don't charge a utility tax. So there would be a 23-cent increase in their rate. Overall, you can see that based on that 3% increase would generate or would cost average single family resident $6.58 next year on their utility bill per month. And then I gave the other rates in there because those are the other options, but currently I have the center, the highlighted rates in the budget. And the budget works. Next slide. Our staffing for next year, as we've talked about, no increases in staff next year. We do have the one police officer open currently, and you can see our wage increases. The police are currently in negotiations. Their contract ends at the end of the year, so that comes up pretty quick. And that will be a 3-year, most likely. The union negotiated increase is 5% for fire, public employees 4%. Non-union, exempt and non-exempt usually follow the public employees at 4%. And the sergeants, they follow the police bargaining unit, which is in negotiations. The couple contract employees we currently have, their increase is based on the CPIW increase over September to September of this year, and that's 2.9%. As far as benefit increases, you can see in the police, their health is up 5%, no increases in vision, dental, standard life, or the employee assistance program. All other employees, the health insurance is set to go up 8.7% with no increase in vision, a 3% dental increase, no increase in standard life, and no increase in the employee assistance program. And those are all incorporated into the budget. Next slide. Yep.
Councilmember Peterson?
What's your, maybe, I apologize if you mentioned it. What's the placeholder you have in there for the police cost COL?
It's set in there at 5%.
5%.
I won't go into detail. Here's our capital facility plan, same values as I presented in the first meeting. Spending next year, believe it or not, $54 million. You can see the projects, some of the major projects I've put on the next slide.
Can I ask real quick, the police at the capital facilities plan is 800,000. What is that?
Oh, you know what? I didn't, good catch. That was going to be for the property for the police station.
Oh, that we
Yeah,
can't do.
yeah, that we canceled.
Okay.
Sorry, I didn't update my.
Okay, so that's zeroed
sheet.
out. Okay,
I'll have that removed for the next presentation.
thank you.
The major projects, next year, we have, the Lions Park Community Center. We currently have that in the budget. We have $2 million to spend next year anticipated, although we are still looking for final, funding on that project. Stormwater, we have, $2 million for the decant facility, of which is a grant from Department of Ecology at 1.7 million, and the balance coming from stormwater utility. Sixth, again in stormwater, the Southeast Birch Project, 3.4 million, which is 100% funded by a Public Works Trust Fund low interest loan, which I believe is 1.75% interest rate. The next three major projects are streets. We have the downtown parking lot project at 1.1 million, which is funded by the Tax Increment Financing Fund. We have the Safe Walk College Place. There's a number of different streets and projects included in there. $3.3 million, which is funded by a grant from WashDOT. There's a Majania Road reconstruction from Blueview to College is included next year at 9.6 million. Various funding components. I believe they're going to go to bid this fall or early next year. Robert, any idea?
The goal is to be able to go to ad early next year. Yes.
Thank you. In the water side, we have the well 8-9 development. We have $4 million, which is part loan, part grant. We have the Reservoir 4 storage tank, water storage tank at 8 million, various funding components, and then Reservoir main transmission main project at 5 million, and you can see the funding projects there. So if none of those projects go right now, they're in there at their components in that funding mechanism as the revenue to offset the cost. If those projects don't go, of course, the the revenue, you don't get the revenue, so. One follows the other. Next slide is our information technology expense. You can see admin and finance, you can see the different breakdowns. We spent a total of $372,000 on IT. Is it anticipated for next year? About $100,000 of that first chunk in admin and finance, that is the Tyler system. Next slide. As trying to reduce expenditures and try to balance out that increase in revenue with a reduction in expenditures, this is one area where we cut back significantly on our equipment replacement plans. We're totaling about only $905,000 next year. Some of that is in the streets, water, wastewater, but they, you know, they are cutting back. Nothing in administration. One piece of equipment in fire, the police, that 217, 200 of that is the leases for the police vehicles. So not a lot of expenditures next year for equipment replacement. Next slide. And there's detail at your reading pleasure if you want to see what we're spending the money on for equipment replacement. I won't go into detail on it. The next slide, just the process and where we're at. So we're at the property tax levy. The third one down is today. We're going to go through the budget review. We'll make that budget available in the next couple days on the website. We do, if we need to, have a finance committee meeting. We haven't decided it at this point if that's required. We'll present, if needed, at the workshop on the 2nd, and the final hearing on the proposed budget and adoption on December 9th. Next steps. I'm pretty much done, but I got to just go back and confirm some numbers that make sure they all tie out. The state requires that all interfund balances tie out. That means the transfer in and the transfer out have to equal in total. I'll review the capital requirements and the funding options to make sure all those tie out, and then just look at over the 2,300 lines of numbers. And that is in your packets for review if so interested. That is where we're at. Questions?
All right. Councilmember Lopez, I know your mind is spinning.
Yeah, lots of information from sitting in the finance committee, my first one and only one. It was very helpful to have that background. Thank you for that. I think you mentioned in those meetings and then again tonight that we have very little control over the revenue side, what we can do, and you've maximized that and explained it really well.
And current expense.
Yeah.
So the utilities, of course, are by the utility rates, so they're a little more independent of that, but you're right.
I was doing some shopping for birthday presents and different things. One in Walla Walla, one in College Place. I noticed that the sales tax is slightly different. I'm wondering, is that another? And we're below that 0.1 lower in College Place. Is there a reason behind that? If we looked at matching that, would that create additional income for us?
It's going up, isn't it?
It's going up next year.
Yeah.
But both are by the same amount.
Yeah.
But is there a reason we're not
But it's
matching?
not coming to us.
Well, I don't know. We've not really. We say that's an advantage for us.
Okay.
Ever since I've been here, it has been a point of pride that all of our taxes, fees, everything are a little bit less than
Okay.
Walla Walla.
I'm just curious. Yeah. But that is another
I don't know how much
thing we have control over.
but it is.
True. That is the potential.
Okay.
We only
That
look
wasn't
at
one that we
twice a
explored.
year. So
Who's they?
the state at property or at sales tax increases.
The state has to decide them?
No.
Oh, they only allow it.
They will allow it twice a year
I
to look
got
at
you.
it.
Okay,
Yeah. No, that was it. Thank you very much for your good work on this.
Thank you.
good question. Councilmember Cleveland.
Will the test on the budget be true or false, multiple choice, short answer, essay, a combination, and what's a passing grade?
It'll be a source of those ones, that are multiple choice, but then it gives those options. A of B, 8, 1 and 2, or none of the above that,
Can we get a bell curve?
and right minus wrong.
Okay. Is it like an 8 answer multiple choice, or we're getting like 4 and like standard,
I heard you have
Oh. Thank you for your work.
open book.
Right, there you go.
Won't help.
Councilmember Espinosa.
Yeah, I appreciate the forethought in balancing the budget, because I know with challenging times, it's kind of hard to keep fiscal responsibility. And I think that the best work has gone into it to ensure that that's there for the upcoming year. So thank you for that, and putting the guardrails for just stay within budget. And, we're not going to get as many grants as before. We were really excited with a lot of projects. Times have changed, so we just need to realize what we're getting and what we can tackle with what we get. So appreciate that.
Yes, and thanks to the department heads for, helping with that process and willing to work with me to meet those targets.
Just
Yeah, I don't-
you could feel it coming in waves. Councilmember Peterson,
No questions. Thanks, Brian.
Councilmember Williams.
Can you remind me what ULTGO bond fund is? It's way back at the beginning. I should have asked them.
Unlimited tax obligation.
What does that mean?
It's the classification of a bond. So you can have a general obligation bond, you can have a tax obligation bond. It depends on where the funding originates from and what
Okay.
level within the city that
Oops.
finances it.
I just scrolled the wrong way and completely lost my presentation. Oh, there it is. So I was just. So that's. Okay, I don't think it matters. The revenue and expenditure are pretty much exactly balanced, so it's probably.
Yeah, because that's just covering the cost of the bond, so the yearly payment. So we have to provide enough funds, and that comes out of current expense.
Okay, so that's a fund transfer to cover that?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
okay, I get it. I understand.
And that was for the CARS project back in 2014. And that's the bond we refunded in 2024. That's going to save us about $300,000 or $400,000 over the remaining 8 years of the bond. They mature in 2033.
Cool. Yeah, I was a little concerned about the upcoming wastewater expenses that were we going to be able to cover it without raising rates? And I went back and dug into our capital plan and everything while you were talking, and we are, and so that's impressive. So thank you.
Councilmember Sherman.
No questions. Thanks, Brian.
All right. Before moving on, just want to make sure there's no other questions or comments from council.
I have just a quick question. You mentioned the bonds. Is there anywhere on this that shows us how many bonds we have out currently, or do you know?
I can't remember the number off the top of my head. It's like, I can put that in the next presentation. I'll put the debt up.
If you had to guess,
Oh, it's 30 million.
no, but number, how many, is it
How many-
like 5 bonds?
How many bonds do we have outstanding? Or are you talking about the debt in total?
I think both is a good question, but
Bonds, we have 2 outstanding bonds. Yeah. The rest are loans, and all those other loans are through Public Works. So those are various entities, Public Works Trust Fund, Department of Ecology, EPA, a number, and I'll throw that in the presentation the next time, as showing our debt and our debt limits, which is good for you guys to know. Because we have a certain amount of debt we can have based on the assessed value. And some of that debt can be allowed, but it's councilmanic, so you guys vote on the amount of debt. And that's 1.5% of our assessed value. So if our assessed value is $1 billion, we can get 250 million, 25 million, 25 million. And then there's an additional amount that can be approved by a vote. That's an additional, I believe, 1.5%. And then you have your revenue bonds, which are associated to the utilities. And those are not capped, but your total amount of debt you can have is capped at 10% of your assessed value. So that would be $100 million.
What are we waiting for then?
Enough time for our to get our projects done.
Any other questions? Nothing?
Yeah, I guess like, so when we talk about the difference of the budget to actual for 2025 and the shortfall that was dependent on, or where we were planning on some development coming through and we're planning again for that in 26.
Yes.
How are we feeling about that? Or do we think that we're going to be in the same place next year at this time?
I don't know that. That's sort of that balance of 50-50, and John can chime in, but he felt comfortable that there are projects going to move forward.
Okay.
And we need that revenue. So,
Okay.
I mean, we're being optimistic. The villages at Fort Walla Walla, that apartment complex, they're still communicating with us. They're telling us they're going to start next year. That's the big one. And Mill Creek Homes, they continue to build. Their home sales have been slow, but we're hoping with interest rates dropping a little bit, and we're hearing that sales might be up here in the next couple of months. And they're still telling us that they're going to do the infrastructure side of phase 2 for the Mill Creek Homes next year. So,
Okay. Thank you. And then you were showing at the end of 2026, there'd be an excess of 315,000 in current expenses, that money that we could like potentially split and put some of that into the reserve.
well, as I
mean, it's
spoke, that
still
S&P 500 wants us at 2 million.
Oh, God.
And that
Okay.
1 point, just under 1.9 million puts us under, but I can,
Yeah, that's close enough.
that's close enough, I think, for them to buy into it,
Yeah.
our strategy. So
Maybe the following year. Okay. Thank you.
we'll see.
I did a quick, it's been a while since I've actually manually done math. But the convenience of everything, a calculator exactly was on the phone. So it's looking like between an average household, again, we're going average household between between the property tax and increases in total utility bills. We're looking at about a $79 a year for the year increase on an average home, total between the utility
Property
bills
tax
and
and
property
utility
taxes.
taxes?
Yep, just kind of to give council an idea of what we're looking at.
You said 78.
79, so I got 78.56 so it's about $79 for an average $403,000 home or average sized home in College Place using utilities. Just thought I'd throw that in there so that we can see it in real numbers. All right, yes, Councilmember Peterson.
Without going into any specifics, as far as development and future growth, as far as growth in sales tax, is there not much on the horizon?
There is a small development we've been getting a lot of inquiries on near community, or I guess Spokane District Credit Union, right there at the corner of 125 and Myra. But bring in some sales tax if it's constructed.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
That'll be the number one task for a new city administrator.
I was just
Top of the list.
didn't know specifics.
Yeah, no. All right. Any other questions, comments, calculations? All right. So if there's no other questions or comment at this time at 8:34 PM. I will open the public hearing. City Clerk Garcia, did anyone submit a comment in advance?
No, ma'am.
All right, if anyone is in actual or in council chambers or virtual attendance that would like to speak, please raise your hand now. If you're connected by phone, *9 will raise your hand. All right, seeing none. Is there any additional discussion from council? If not, is there a motion to close the hearing?
So moved, Councilmember Williams.
Thank you. Councilmember Williams, motion to close the hearing. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, Councilmember Sherman, second to close the hearing. Any other discussion? All right, all in favor of closing the public hearing, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, the ayes have it and the hearing is closed at 8:35 PM. All right. I believe we are moving on to executive session. Is that correct? Am I in the right spot? All right. Okay, the City of College Place City Council will now meet in executive session to discuss potential litigation pursuant to RCW's 42.30.110, 1I, and 42.30.1101 triple I. The council will be in executive session for or until 8:51 PM.